Well, what up, nerds? So a few years ago, bought a trailer hitch for my Neon off of neons.org, and I bought it sight unseen. I bought it without any photos, and this is the one I got. It's just a tow ball mount hitch. It's not what I wanted at the time. I wanted a receiver hitch, so I was really disappointed. I put it in the NYG, put it in it. I didn't put it on it, and let it sit for years and never used it. But I figured I might as well toss it on the white car because I've got a couple ideas to use it for. So I'm doing it. So why I'm deciding to put a hitch on the car is basically so that I can move my tow dolly without having to use a truck to do it, because it's really annoying. A couple years ago, actually, my truck broke down up halfway between here and upstate New York with my wife driving it. So I had to drive up there, fix it, and then drive it back. And I'd had a thought at the time. I was like, man, I wish that I had a tow hitch on this thing so I could tow my tow dolly up and then just drive one vehicle back. So that's kind of why I'm doing it. Also, it would be nice to just move around stuff. So let's just put it on. So this is what the hitch looks like, and it just gets mounted. These 4 bolts go up into the bumper support, and these actually go up into the spare tire well. And it uses a 3/4 inch mount tow ball. And this is the, I'm going to butcher this, but Dalon Incorporated. It says hard to find hitches. And you know, gross trailer weight 2,000 pounds. Well, it's really loud. Max tongue weight 200 pounds. So I can't stand on this, but I could tow up to 2,000 pounds with it. So this is also like a, I think a Uhaul hitch kind of looks like this. So let's jack up the Neon and empty the trunk so we don't drill into anything and go from there. I went with a 1 7/8 inch ball because that's what I could find at the store. I probably would have bought a 2 inch if I had a choice, but this will be fine for everything I'm using it for. So right now I just kind of have it propped up by the floor jack to hold it into position. I don't have directions with this, but it's rather self-explanatory. Currently have it trued up between the plate, basically as good as I can eyeball it. It's not going to be perfect, and I'm not really that upset about it. Now, you can't really see all of it, but it's got 4 bolts across here that go up and into the bumper support, and then 4 bolts across here, you know, 2 on this side and 2 on the far side, that go into the actual trunk pan. They're all even as far as I can measure. So I thought that I was going to you know, use a paint marker and mark where the holes go and then drill, but this floor jack has this positioned rather tightly against here. So I think what I'm going to do is actually just go ham and drill straight through the trailer hitch into the trunk pan portion first and get 2 bolts in there, and then drill it through here and draw these bolts up around this plastic bracket, because if I pull this down, if I try to put the bumper piece under this, it makes the bumper look funny. I could try that first, I guess, but I don't like how it makes the bumper look. You know, with me putting this under the little bumper bracket, it made this a lot more flush. So when I screw it down, it'll make it more even. Let me just make sure it's even on the plate side. Also, this is what I'm using as a bolt combination. These are grade 8s that I got from Advance or AutoZone, but have a bolt and washer on the top, and then a lock washer and a nut on the bottom, and that's gonna do it. You know, this has a battery in the trunk, but that's what the bolt coming through looks like, and then of course obviously that's what the hole I drilled looks like. So let's get this locked down. jack this up higher, actually. So I got all that buttoned up, not quite as I wanted it to. There's no lock washers on the bottom, but there are lock washers on the top. I'm going to redo that at some point, but the next thing we need to do is do the wiring. You can't tell, it's really windy, so I'm going to apologize for the noise and me not filming absolutely everything I'm doing. So this is what I picked up to use to add trailer wiring to the car. It's just a 4-wire trailer connector, but it's got LEDs so I can test with it, and a length of wire. So hopefully it's as long enough. I might drill a hole for this to go through or try to find an existing grommet, but this should work pretty okay. So the wiring I got on this is not that long. It's only about 6 feet. So, well, not even, it's maybe about 5 feet. So it's not going to have enough to come up one side and then stretch across the car. So either I need to extend the right wire, the right turn signal wire, or separate them under the car. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. So I figured out what I'm going to do. So my trunk gasket has this little slit in it. I'm not sure why it was there, but it almost looks like it was meant to be there. The trunk will close over top of it, and it's not causing any damage to it. It is holding it there, but I'm only going to use this a handful of times a year, so it doesn't make sense to have it be a permanent fixture of the car. So I'm going to call it my deployable wiring harness. What up, nerds? It's been a few days, and I realized that I never showed you that I actually finished up the wiring and that it works. So I'm going to show you that. I'll also show you some pictures of me towing. Because I actually lent my tow dolly to somebody and I used this to bring it to them. So I can't have a video of me towing it right now. Anyway, here's what the wiring looks like. I don't know if you can really tell, but this car had the whole trunk sprayed, and they sprayed over the wiring harness and everything else. And somebody had already been messing around with the harness in here anyway, and I didn't want to really disturb those splices in there. So I found where they had directly spliced into the taillight wiring, and they had replaced the plugs at one point, so I just spliced directly into there. And I did an old trick that I learned from my old job where you can actually put 2 wires in a 1 butt splice. I don't recommend this. It doesn't work that well. Well, it doesn't work that well with a red butt splice. You really gotta use the blue ones. The ones that are slightly larger. They work a lot better. For the ground wire, I just used one of the bolts for the trunk latch, and it's there. It's working. Now, I've got this hooked up to the right blinker, right? That one, that's flashing. And you can see that the voltage is jumping, but the LED is not lighting up. It's lighting up for the left blinker, which is, you know, seeing the same voltage. This voltmeter isn't fast enough, so it's really only reading, you know, at most 8.5 volts. And then the taillights are reading almost steady 12 volts, and yet they're not lighting up. This harness that's supposed to help you locate your problems and all that stuff, I can't personally recommend it. I think you just get whatever one you can find cheapest at the parts store, even Harbor Freight or something like that, because ultimately it doesn't matter. Like, this has just been literally riding around in my trunk for a week. It didn't even work when I put it on. Even when I hooked it up right out of the box, right, it didn't work right. It would if I had the headlights on, it would light up the, you know, the tail light one, or the TM light. And then if I had the flashers on, it would only flash one of them. But if I turned the headlights off, it would flash both of them. Now, of course, if I hit the brakes, then the two turn ones would light up. But after, you know, I guess not even a week, because I did this Saturday and it's only Wednesday. So, you know, 4 or 5 days of riding around the trunk murdered the LEDs in this. So I can't actually recommend this to anybody. But yeah, it's, you know, the trailer hitch is on and it works, and I got a little trailer I need to get registered somehow, and I'm gonna, you know, drag stuff around. It's gonna be cheaper than taking my F-250 somewhere if I want to pick up, you know, a set of wheels or a transmission or a block or something. I'll just be able to slap a trailer on this and go for it. So anyway, thanks for watching. An hour a day I make jack stands go away. And sometimes you can just tow with something funny.